All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Think about your day so far. Has it been perfectly smooth, frictionless even? Look, we all crave a life where everything is just easy, right? But what if I told you that this extreme comfort we're constantly chasing is actually deeply dangerous? I want you to really hear this quote. There's a version of you that never existed because you chose easy. Wow. Let that sink in for a second. It's actually not failure that's slowly hollowing us out. And it's not pain, it is comfort. It's this invisible hand of convenience that just sweeps away every obstacle before you even get a chance to fight it. By choosing easy over and over, well, easy kind of becomes who you are. So, society is constantly selling us this dream, right? Progress, freedom, success. But in reality, what we actually get is something entirely different: dependency, emptiness, fragility. We literally live in the era of one-click buys, instant entertainment, same-day delivery. I mean, you can have food at your door before your stomach even growls. Society promises us that this total lack of friction is freedom, but it's actually building a pretty profound dependency. Here's the secret the convenience economy definitely doesn't want you to figure out. The obstacles, they were the point all along. Human beings are literally built for resistance. Your brain absolutely requires a challenge to function at its highest level. Your identity isn't shaped by what's handed to you on a silver platter. It's forged by what you push through. Let's look at how this plays out in a typical morning. Think about the perfectly optimized start to a day. 7 a.m., your smart alarm gently wakes you up. 7:15, the coffee is already auto-brewing. 8 a.m., you're scrolling a news feed that an algorithm perfectly curated to show exactly what you want to see. You've built a totally frictionless morning. And that so many people feel completely empty, and they misdiagnose this emptiness as depression or laziness, completely missing the fact that their solution, total optimization, is actually the root of the problem. Section 1, Learned Helplessness and the Psychological Trap. To really grasp this cognitive trap we've built for ourselves, we have to talk about learned helplessness. Back in the 1960s, researchers did this experiment where they put dogs in environments where they couldn't escape mild electric shocks. Later on, when the barriers were completely removed and they could easily escape, they didn't even move. They had learned that effort was just pointless. They just lay down and accepted it. And honestly, when we're constantly defaulting to convenience, we are wiring that exact same habit of giving up right into our own subconscious. So, I want to ask you directly, what have you stopped trying to fix? Really look at your own life for a second. Have you stopped trying? Not because things are actually unfixable, but just because giving up became easier than the discomfort of trying? Every single time you outsource a decision to an app or avoid critically thinking about something, you're sending a signal straight to your brain. You're basically telling your brain that you are fragile and you can't handle things on your own. You know, you might think you're building freedom with all this tech, but you're actually building dependency. And the tricky thing about dependency is that it hides. It doesn't look like weakness until the exact moment everything stops working. Think about the genuine spike of anxiety you feel the second the Wi-Fi goes down, or when an app crashes, or even when someone asks for your opinion and you realize an algorithm has been doing your thinking for you for years. Section 2. The pain of silence and estrangement from the self. Okay, you have to hear about this absolutely wild study from the University of Virginia. Researchers gave participants a simple choice: sit in a room in silence for 10 minutes with absolutely nothing to do, or receive mild electric shocks. The results are just absurd. Many people literally chose to zap themselves rather than sit alone with their own thoughts. They opted for actual physical pain over 10 minutes of unfamiliar silence because just being alone with themselves had become completely unbearable. But here's the thing, that's not boredom. That is estrangement from yourself. Let that heavy realization sink in for a second. Convenience is basically a drug that's making this estrangement worse every single day. We've traded the hard work of building ourselves for this cheap simulation of comfort, and as a result, we've become strangers inside our own minds. Which brings us to a pretty terrifying number: 0. After years of optimized, frictionless living, your attention span rapidly collapses, and your tolerance for difficulty drops to near 0. You're left with no tools, no muscle, and no grit. So when real life inevitably shows up at your door, and trust me, real life always brings real hardship, you have absolutely nothing to fight back with. Think about the everyday cost of this constant need for immediate gratification. It looks like quitting challenging books halfway through. It looks like avoiding skills that take months to actually master. skipping out on conversations that require patience, just swiping away from anything uncomfortable. We demand that everything be fast, smooth, and feel good right now. But by constantly swiping and skipping, we are literally killing our own capacity for greatness. Every master of anything in human history was forged by friction. Think about that. Every single person you look up to walked deliberately toward difficulty. You know that ache in your chest you get when you watch inspiring videos of people overcoming crazy odds? That ache is your own potential begging to be used. It's reminding you of what you are actually capable of, right before you swipe to the next video and bury it again under another layer of convenience. Section 3. Deliberate difficulty and the wake-up call. Readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. We really need to dispel this myth that you have to wait around for some magical burst of motivation, or that you need to download the perfect new productivity app to start taking your life back. If you wait until you feel ready to do hard things, you're literally never going to do them. So how do we actually fix this? Well, here is your exact, actionable daily prescription to reclaim your nervous system. Step 1. Identify one habit that is currently dulling your natural problem-solving skills. Like, what are you outsourcing too much? Step 2. Choose one manual task today and just do it yourself. Step 3. Commit to 10 minutes of silence. No phone, no distractions. And finally, step 4. Explain to yourself how learned helplessness prevents your personal growth, and use that understanding to break the cycle. If you need some concrete examples of what we call acts of reclamation, try these. Walk instead of driving. Cook a meal from scratch instead of ordering delivery. Read a book slowly and actively resist that urge to skim. Or go have that difficult conversation you've been putting off. These are deliberate choices to introduce friction, because friction creates a signal, and that signal is what sparks genuine personal growth and self-reliance. You're basically taking yourself back from a system that just wants you comfortable, compliant, and constantly consuming. We're going to wrap up this explainer with one final question. The hidden cost of convenience is you. Will you realize your potential has been taken before it's too late? It's not your time or your money being stolen here. It is the sharp, fully alive, purposeful version of yourself. So stop waiting for the path of least resistance. Go find yourself on the other side of that uncomfortable thing you keep avoiding.